And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Mellon in the morning, promoting our schools, securing our future from St. Mary's Catholic School here in Boise off State Street. I was just telling the staff here, it's so rare that we're in Boise. Usually we're in the Treasure Valley, so I find myself saying Boise, Boise. Yes, the broadcast center is based in Boise, Idaho's first radio station, but it's just like worlds colliding being here. But we appreciate the staff at St. Mary's. By the way, if you're driving by, you can see the Team Mazda Subaru Drive for Excellence in Education Forester. Give us a honk as you drive by St. Mary's. That would be great to let us know that you're listening to 107.5 FM or 580 AM. Carol Herring joining us, science teacher here. Good to have you with us here on KIDO Talk Radio. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's very intimidating, is it not?
It is
being
very
on radio?
intimidating.
Well, a lot of us, and myself included, would say science is intimidating. So what grades do you teach here?
I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, math, science, and religion.
Boy, that's it's like the big three, really.
It is. It is.
So give us a sample of each that you teach. Let's say you start with you in 6th grade. By the time these kids are getting ready to go to high school, we'll start with math. What will they learn?
In 6th grade science, I teach all 3 sciences.
Right.
So physical, life, and earth. And then 7th grade, the concentration is life science. And then 8th grade, we do a combination of earth science and physical science, getting them ready for Bishop Kelly. So they have kind of a well-rounded background. So when they get to Bishop Kelly, or any high school that they go to.
Yeah, Bishop Kelly seems to have branded itself everywhere.
It has.
Yes.
And then with math, the students have, we have what's called Course 2 in 6th grade. So it's kind of a pre-algebra, and then 7th grade is pre-algebra, and then 8th grade is algebra. And so it gives them a good foundation for whatever math they choose.
Well, you can never get enough algebra, right?
It's
X plus Y, Z, something of that
right,
nature.
exponents
right?
and all
Right. We laugh about that, but for all of us, especially, let's say, a 7th or 8th grader, that's pretty intimidating stuff.
It is, and they wonder how are they going to use this in the real world.
Exactly.
And I tell them that they will think forever. So part of math is figuring out the puzzle and how do you go about doing that, and that's kind of life skills.
Sure. What about the teaching of faith? How does that work?
I love being able to teach religion. I can incorporate it throughout the day as far as how we treat one another, how we're called to be caregivers of the earth. We're stewards. We have the opportunity to, every week, we either have food bank or we have treasure, and the kids choose who they want to donate the money to.
Now, what's the treasure?
Treasure would be the kids bring in their extra coinage. And so this year, with the Paradise Fire in California, the kids donated their money to a school that a Catholic school that I'd worked at there that had, their families had lost everything.
Wow.
So, and then we donate to the St. Mary's Food Bank, and then we also donate to Corpus Christi.
Now, when we look at faith, though, and we look at the kids, when we talk to educators, they always say, I can handle elementary school kids, I can handle high school kids. But in the middle, now they call it middle school, in our day it was junior high, those are the ones that are the most challenging. What do you say to that?
I love the junior high kids. I've taught kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and I always go back to middle school. They inspire me, and they give me the opportunity to have some great dialogue, and I feel I'm a mentor to them. And but they do inspire me, and I love teaching middle school kids.
What brought you to St. Mary's?
Just walking into the building and feeling like I was at home.
Right. Very, very old Catholic school vibe here.
Exactly. And that community and just welcoming and the family support that we have, I couldn't ask for a better place to work.
And you all work well with the church?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. They're very supportive, and we we do our masses with the parish, and so the kids are able to prepare the mass.
That's always a neat thing. So our theme is we always want to be inclusionary. So for people that are looking for a place that are moving here, maybe from California, maybe from somewhere else. In fact, I think somebody told me this statistic last night. I can't remember, maybe since it's 2000 or what. 300,000 people have, I think, is it 300,000 or 100,000 people have moved here from California, followed by 17,000 from Washington, 15,000 from Oregon. And, what would you say to them? They're listening to this. They're going, well, this is a secular radio station, but we're here at a Catholic school for people that aren't of the faith, but they want to make sure their kids get a great, well-rounded education.
I believe that we are welcoming, and values are important to every walk of life.
Yeah.
It's how we need to deal with one another, and I think that we are able to incorporate that throughout our day, and that feeling of support and family, and it's on beyond just education.
Sure.
It's about caring about who they are as people.
Finally, what would you say to people that might be having a struggle right now based on your faith in God? What would you share with them to inspire them?
We need to have hope. There's always another day, and we need to continue to look to the future and look to God and Jesus and how we incorporate caring for one another, and that we need to love one another. That's probably the most important thing.
Well, if God is for us, who can be against?
I agree.
Carol, thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you were good. I'm glad you didn't do the X plus. I still, do you
Y equals mx plus b.
Do you mind if I kind of reveal something to you?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I think I took pre-algebra like 3 or 4 years because I was, I go from one school to one state to another, and it's just that algebra thing. So it's just, how many times can you take pre-algebra? It just didn't stick. I should have had you.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The Idaho legislature wrapped up its season. It's time for review and commentary of your favorite local politician.
Republicans went first. They talked about the highlights of the session, such as addressing water rights, funding public education more, as well as raising teacher salaries. After the Republicans went, then it was the Democrats. They talked about their highlights as well, such as protecting workers from wage theft, passing legislation that would do that, as well as passing legislation that would allow people to return unused drugs. Now, one of the big topics, though, all session was Medicaid expansion. That ended up passing with work requirements attached to it, something Democrats opposed, but most Republicans did support that.
The people spoke loud and clear when 61% of those voters chose clean Medicaid expansion implementation when they passed Proposition 2. But somehow their voices did not get through to most Republican legislators in this building, who spent the session relentlessly introducing bills again and again to repeal or dramatically undermine Medicaid expansion.
The expansion was sold as this is for the working poor. What we did with those expansion and the sideboards, or enhancements as I would like to call them, is just ensures that that's what the people got.
Now, another contentious issue this session was the 2 separate voter initiative bills. Now, this would have made it harder to get an issue or an initiative or a referendum on the ballot. Now, both of those bills, Senate Bill 1159 and 290.
And there we have it from our friends at Channel 7. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You can really sense the anger coming out of the Democrats. They're talking about the initiative bill and the Medicaid expansion bill and everything else, and we'll get back to that for entertainment purposes only. But at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, this is something that I really wish our legislators, and by the way, Mike Moyle, Representative Moyle, Representative Erpelding, they were right. They told myself and Mr. Tommy Ahlquist that Medicaid expansion would happen. They also told us that the grocery tax repeal would not happen. And when we talk about bills coming together, when we take a look at politicians coming together, why in the world would they not give it a hearing? Now, again, we'll say, well, we didn't have enough money. Okay, let's go over that. By the way, I'd love for you to join our conversation on KIDO Talk Radio at 580-5436-580-KIDO when we take a look at the nonpartisan bill that would have repealed the grocery tax. Well, Kevin, we don't have enough money. Okay. From what I understand, the state had a good month in February, $50 million surplus. They're talking about spending $12 million to refurbish the Capitol. They gave the teachers a raise, and they still haven't figured out how to fund education in Idaho. Why not at least give it a hearing? What were they afraid of? Oh, Kevin Miller, I've run campaigns. I've talked to fundraisers. I've sat in boring blankety-blank committee hearings, and I'm not afraid of anything. Well, if that's the case, Idaho Democrat, Idaho Republican, why were you afraid to give the people what they want? Now, some will say, well, Kevin Miller, we're mad at you. All you do is harp on an issue. That's right. That's what this show is about. It's about finding an issue and making a change. We could sit there and go, hey, what do you think? Hey, let's report the news. Hey, whatever. And we could be like everybody else. Or we could say, this is a wrong move by Idaho politicians, both Democrat and Republican. Now, some will say, well, Kevin Miller, the governor decided. Well, as we're finding out in Congress, you have 3 equal branches of government. Where are the great lions of the legislature? 580-5436-580-KIDO, and we are continuing our pledge until the grocery tax is repealed to let you know about that. That is number 1. Number 2, to all my hempsters, we won, you lost. We'll talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Over the past several weeks, I've been very disappointed in Attorney General Barr. I had higher expectations for him. He shaped the narrative after the Mueller report. He, in fact, then also had this testimony today that I think was very carefully nuanced as a way to try to support the Donald Trump's positions. So he acted more like a personal lawyer for Donald Trump today rather than the Attorney General.
There you have James Brennan. Now, Laura Ingraham had this to say along with Molly Hemingway from the Federalist. By the way, good morning. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, promoting our schools, securing our future. The fallout over William Barr's testimony continues, but listen to how Molly Hemingway breaks this down with Laura Ingraham.
Well, as you wrote today in the Federalist, Brennan briefed Harry Reid on this ongoing operation. A lot of people don't know that. Tell us.
Yeah, Brennan separately briefed Harry Reid from the rest of the Gang of Eight, and Harry Reid said that he understood he was getting this separate briefing so he could publicize the Russia investigation during the 2016 campaign. People who care about election meddling should care about that story. We haven't really even begun to investigate how Brennan, how Clapper, how other intel chiefs were involved in this narrative, not just during the election, but then, of course, throughout the first 2 years of the administration. There's a truth in what he says there. He's troubled by Barr going against the narrative that they said. They put a lot of work into a narrative that's being blown up just by people saying obvious facts, such as that there was spying and that we should make sure that we don't do this against domestic political opponents. So you get the feeling Barr is sort of the adult who came in and said, okay, you've had your games. We're gonna try and restore the credibility of the FBI and Department of Justice now.
And there we have it. By the way, the fallout continues. 580-5436-580-KIDO. We'll get back to your comments concerning the Idaho legislature, but William Barr testifying before the Senate Appropriations Committee, basically saying that, yes, he does believe that people did spy on the president and it was inappropriate and he's going to investigate. Now, the president very happy about this. We'll continue to cover this. And then you have the Julian Assange case. We'll get to that as well. We are promoting our school, securing our future, live from St. Mary's Catholic School here in Boise. And, of course, as always, we're taking your calls about the issues that matter to you. One big issue going on is the idea of universal basic income. And this has been promoted by a lot of folks, particularly entrepreneur Andrew Yang. He's among a crowded Democratic presidential field. His platform, get this, centers on what he calls a universal income, guaranteed to all American citizens over the age of 18. Under Yang's plan, each citizen would receive $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. Now, let me repeat that. Under Yang's plan, President Yang, a wonderful venture capitalist entrepreneur out of Silicon Valley, every American would receive $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. He had a chance to, well, give his proposal a thorough vetting when he spoke to our friends at Fox and Friends. And this is what he had to say about his, I don't know if you want to call it controversial, revolutionary, or certainly headline-grabbing universal income stipend.
The way the petroleum dividend works is they put aside the oil money and they said, look, whatever profits come out from the pipeline, then it goes to the Alaskan people. So everyone in Alaska is getting between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. We need to do the same thing with technology and the new innovations in our economy. We can create a lot of wealth, but the question is right now, who's going to see that wealth? It is not going to be most Americans. It's going to be people who happen to be shareholders in these companies.
There we have it. So we're going to take from the greedy, grubby corporations, and we're going to give it to everybody. That sounds like fun, unless you're a shareholder in these greedy, grubby corporations. And then you kind of think about this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, just like with Medicaid expansion and everything else. If it sounds too good to be true, Mr. Yang, isn't it?
You don't even need to look across the globe. All you have to do is look at Alaska, which has had a petroleum dividend for almost 40 years, and it's wildly popular, has created thousands of jobs.
There we have it. And if Alaska was so successful, so many people would be moving there instead of moving away from it, right? Phone numbers here. We've given them to you. Let's talk a little bit more about a couple of other issues that are resonating. Back to the end of the Idaho legislature, and I know that we can be cynical and that sort of thing, but the Medicaid expansion, it looks like the government will be sued. Somebody said to me the other day, can you ask people why in the world would the governor sign legislation if he knows he's going to be sued? We'll talk about that next. Traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave. I'm Kevin Miller in the morning, live from St. Mary's Catholic School in Boise. Phone numbers 580-5436. 580-KIDO. So here's the issue that is a lot of people are talking about. And coming up next, if you have an Amazon Alexa, I'm going to tell you, better watch out. As we've told you before, Amazon could be listening to you, and it's not very good what they're hearing. So going over the legislature, right? Going over what we've heard, what we've said, and everything else. The idea at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, that the third longest legislative session was a success, okay? You have Medicaid expansion that was funded. And then you have the Democrats saying that the Republicans put the sidebars on it and they're going to be sued. And then you have people saying from the group that raised all the money that they're going to sue, okay? Good. It's the Gilded Age of litigation. Kids, if you're listening, go to law school. Everybody sues everybody in the year 2019. Then we have, and by the way, I don't know if, did they put a cap on the spending for Medicaid expansion? I know that was one of the proposals that we had supported, putting a cap on how much the state can spend. And you're going to say, well, Kevin Miller, that's heartless. No, not particularly, considering the funding mechanism. If the feds flip it, or all of a sudden the state is liable for everything, well, where are you going to get that money? That's number one. Number two, this voter initiative. So I believe one of the reasons why Governor Little didn't sign the controversial bill 1159, two reasons I hear, maybe you've heard something else, that one of them had to do with the number of phone calls he received. People were mad. Now, I don't know, unlike this, well, no, we get calls from out of state too, but mostly we get calls in-state in the Treasure Valley. That's really all we care about. I don't know how many phone calls were orchestrated by out-of-state people that are looking to influence the folks in Idaho. And then it was the rumor that they were worried about the state being sued for this initiative bill. And if you heard our conversation yesterday with A.J. Belukoff, former candidate for governor, school board member in Boise, owner of the Grove Hotel, along with others, and the Steelheads, really an accomplished guy. Really appreciate him sharing his time with us. But when you listen to that conversation, and we're talking about this initiative bill, he says, Kevin Miller, that's going to make it tougher for people to get things through. Let's be honest. Grassroots movement in this state, and I would love to be proven wrong. Aren't really that successful unless you have what? Joel? Big money behind you. Thank you, Joel. huge money behind you. Prop 2, big money behind you. Why? Because you have to pay the volunteers to get those names on the ballot. You have to run TV ads. You have to run radio ads. Didn't work for horse racing, did work for Medicaid expansion. And then again, back to this 1159 where you have people upset about it. Senator Groh, if I'm him, I'm pretty upset about it because he quarterbacked it, got it through the Senate, got it through the House, that it was vetoed. That's how our process works, right? I totally get that. But what was the controversy about? It took up a lot of attention. You know what I would have loved to have seen? Here we go. That attention, that passion, that contention focused on the grocery tax repeal. Let's have a debate about that. That and more coming up next. We are promoting our school, securing our future. Thanks to our friends at CapEd Credit Union, Team Mazda Subaru, live from St. Mary's Catholic School here in Boise. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Publishing of documents, of videos of killing of innocent civilians, exposure of war crimes. This is journalism. It's called conspiracy. It's conspiracy to commit journalism.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. And I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my deal in life.
It is clear from the indictment that came out, it's not about punishing journalism. It's about assisting the hacking of the military computer to steal information from the United States government.
We will be fighting extradition, and he'll be brought before the court again within the next month.
And there we have it, Hillary Clinton and others commenting on the arrest of Julian Assange. Much more on that coming up, and your thoughts whether you consider Assange a hero or a villain. 580-5436, 580-KIDO, plus your review and commentary on the Idaho legislature. That's right, they're out. No repeal of the grocery tax. We will have more on that coming up at 580-KIDO. We are live from St. Mary's Catholic School. Kevin Miller in the morning, promoting our school, securing our future, thanks to our friends at CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. We're joined by a group of parents. Sir, why don't you introduce yourself to the listening public?
You bet. My name is Tim House.
Okay, Tim, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Perfect. Yeah, I actually.
And we'll get your mic there
I went to school
going.
here when I was a child, so I have the pleasure of being here. So we're parish members, and my daughter goes here as well.
And
so
what is it? What is that like?
It's awesome. You know, being here and having the community that we have, and the teachers that we have, and the support that they give to our children, and even our priest is really wonderful. So all of it combined really makes for a great experience for us as parents, and I think for the children going through school. I think that we really have to prepare our children. I think, if you look at the numbers, we're really horrible about getting our kids going off to college. And I think that this environment gives them the best advantage to go on to high school and have the skills to be able to do what they need to do to be successful.
What about you? You have any flashbacks?
I have none flashbacks, but I don't know if they're appropriate for radio right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
duly noted.
My sideburns have grown back in, so
yes.
It's good.
Duly noted. We will get back to you on that, ma'am. See, but there we go. Come on.
I'm Lizzie Hammerly.
Hi, Lizzie. Good morning.
Good morning. And I have two children here at St. Mary's in 2nd grade and 4th grade. And we are very, very happy with the school.
And what makes you happy about the school?
Well, when I came to tour the school, the first thing that was the draw card was the bilingual Spanish program. My children were already at Immersion Spanish Preschool, and this just continued that education on. And the second thing was when I interviewed with the principal at the time, she said to me, "Do you have any family here in Boise?" And I said, "No, we don't." And she looked at me with a big hug, and she said, "Well, you do now." And there's never been a truer word. This is the friendliest school. It is one big family. It doesn't matter if your child's in 8th grade or kindergarten.
Sure.
You've got like 100 other people helping you raise your kids.
All right. Ma'am, and you?
Good morning. My name is Virgie Blaine, and we have 3 sons that are here at St. Mary's and have been here since kindergarten. Our oldest is now in 8th grade. So we've gone through the whole process, and I just echo what Tim and Lizzie have said.
Oh, come on. We need somebody to disagree.
Well, I don't know that I would disagree. I would add. Here we go.
All right. More from the Big Three in a moment. First, we go live to New York. Tanya J. Powers joining us now, Fox News Radio. Good morning, Tanya.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us here. much more from St. Mary's Catholic School in a minute. First, let's talk a little bit about Amazon Alexa and they're listening to your conversations.
Well, that is that big, scary headline that we're all seeing, right? That thousands of workers around the world are listening to your voice recordings. Yeah, they are, but let me explain why and how they're doing it. It's not like they're all, kind of like hanging out listening to
there's a
what's going on in your house.
Yes, it's right. Sure, right. Yeah, it's good that Jeff and the crew are listening to me. So I got a lot to say.
You do. You absolutely do. But what they're doing is they're listening to pieces of these voice recordings that have been captured when people use their products, the Alexa, or Siri or Google or whatever. All the companies are doing it. And Amazon says that what they do with those is they translate these recordings, they annotate them, and then they feed them back into the software. And what they're trying to do is get Alexa to understand human speech so it responds better to you when you give it a command.
Yeah, and again, you have this story coming out, and it's look, I agree with a lot of folks. They're spying on us. They're spying on us with the TVs, and I'm not down with that. I live a very exciting life that I want to keep to myself. You can relate to that, right?
Absolutely. And I'd long thought that about you. I'm just glad to have it confirmed, finally.
Well, I don't know. You might be listening in. I mean, I have a lot of conversations with this thing they call the television.
I'm sure they do.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the guy that screams at the clouds too, or is that later?
That's not supposed to be revealed over the air that I scream at the clouds.
So sorry. So anyway, Amazon also gives you the option, if you are one of these people who owns one of these devices, you can have the option of disabling it, the use of the voice recordings for the development of new features, which is again, what they say they're using this for. The people who do these they are everywhere. They're all over the planet. Actually, they're in different countries, and what they do is they work about 9 hours a day on these things, and they could hear as many as 1,000 audio clips per shift. So a lot of them are looking for specific things. One of the Bloomberg article on this quoted a worker in Boston, actually, that was talking about how they were tasked to listen for the words Taylor Swift. So, when someone commands Alexa to play Taylor Swift, the more of those pieces of audio that you stick into the software, and Alexa learns to listen for that and the different ways people pronounce these words, the better it is at understanding it. That's the theory.
The theory indeed. We'll take your word for it.
Look, I don't work for Amazon, Kevin. I'm just, just telling you what the news is.
Finding out what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm sure they're monitoring Kevin Miller. It's very important. It's a very unique name. There's none like it.
Well, they know that you yell at the TV now, so.
I yell at a lot of things. I got a lot of voices in my head and on this show.
Hey, good look at the school visit today.
Thank you. I wish you were here. We've got a lot of teachers that could point you in the right direction.
It would, okay, I don't even know what that means, but it would be a lot of fun, and I would totally love to hang out with y'all.
I'm just projecting.
I see that.
Yes, a lot of flashbacks. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, back to the big three, the parents here at St. Mary's Catholic School in Boise. Let's talk a little bit about the investment that you all make, not only when we're talking financially, but coming in, volunteering, being an active part of the community. We'll go back to you, ma'am, and then for people listening, we're going from left to right at home if you're keeping track.
Sure, yeah. It's like you said, in addition to a financial investment, we do volunteer, and what's great, like Lizzie said, is we get to volunteer with people that we enjoy being around, other parents, and we're here everything from coaching basketball. My husband coached the big Hallacy tournament this year, which kind of overtook our lives. We also have come in and done Spanish classes. We volunteer and do fundraisers for our school, and it's fun because you're doing it with the people that you care about and care about your kids. So that's
Sure.
what's important.
I think it allows us to really get together as a group without having a daughter in the class. Virgie's son is in there to get to know those other parents, because usually you're hanging out with your child's with the girls' parents, and then getting to be able to be with some of the dads from the boys. Makes a lot of fun and really being together. I really enjoy that. You know, I've got friends from St. Mary's when I went here that I'm still friends with, and I'm almost 50. You know, and to have that.
Watch out for that 50. It changes your life.
No, it's changing already. But watching those, you know, those kids grow up and be together, and as they go on to, you know, Bishop Kelly, when our kids graduate, you know, having that, knowing, you know, that group of kids from kindergarten all the way through is a very special thing. You know those kids, and you see that, you know, bond between them, and it's very special. And I think that you get that in this environment.
Sure.
I'll back that up because I think volunteering is part of our Christian values anyway. And when we do it together as a school collectively, it just reinstates that and reaffirms that in our children. When they see the parents doing it, they're more entitled, likely to go out and volunteer themselves. And we do make the children do community hours, but they actually want to do it. And we do a lot with Corpus Christi and the food bank and just in the community in general. But I think when we're all together volunteering, it doesn't seem like a chore. I mean, someone's always pouring wine, and we're always having a lot of fun. It's always a great environment. You know, that's how we all became friends.
I would say so too. I mean, Lizzie and I, our kids aren't in the same class, but we do things together, and like with Virgie
Sure.
and you know their younger sons. So we, you know, when we went to movie nights, we've done different things where we do these things all together, and I think that this school has helped bring us all together, and with people that you wouldn't normally know, and just wonderful people that we're getting to hang out with.
Roller skating recently,
Sure.
And then yesterday,
Sure.
a past parent came and helped me.
Okay. Well, yep, we're getting off in the weeds here with the roller skating. If we could get back to it, we'll go to you, ma'am. Quickly, the idea of faith being a part of your child's education. Can you expand on that a little?
Of course, yeah. It's part of their daily.
But I mean, why is that important to you?
Why is that important to me? I think it's a great foundation, and it's reinforcing what we are trying to do at home. Our kids are needing to have some guidance, and they get it from us. They get it at school. They see it with their friends. It's an important way for them to grow, to be good citizens. I think it's looking at the whole child, so the faith is a strong piece of that.
Right. Finally, for people that are not of the Catholic faith, what would you say to them?
Oh, I think it's a great opportunity for their kids to be involved with a school that is not just focused on the Catholic values, but focused on the education. And I think that coming here, you don't feel that you're ostracized or anything of that nature. I think there's a lot of
you got the Pope
kids that
looking
come
at
here.
you, though.
That's okay. You know?
Right.
It doesn't mean he's talking to you directly.
But you know how it is for people that aren't Catholic. They have this misconception.
They do.
You know, I mean, we have a statue here of the Blessed Mother, and people are going to go, what's that about? You know?
Sure. Well, I think it opens up discussions for different things. You know, my wife is not Catholic, and when my daughter came home from kindergarten or first grade, was like, Mom, you're not Catholic. You're not going to go to heaven. Like, you know, and was just distraught. And we were both kind of, it's going to be okay. You know, it'll work out. And so forth. But, you know, that has been, I think the kids that have come here that are not religious don't feel that they've got pressure to be religious. I think that they, feel included and they're invited to do all the things that we do.
I mean, you just take those values on. I mean, my husband's not Catholic. My family's a very mixed religion. And I don't think it's an issue at all. I went to a Catholic school in another country, and we had people from different religions there. And I think the philosophy is just the same. It's about just growing your community and finding strength in a greater source, if that's the community or if that's God. That's what it is to you.
All right. Well, thank you, folks. Appreciate it. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
The nice thing about Bar is you finally have a grown-up in the room. I mean, you finally have a grown-up in the room who calls out this nonsense because, my father always went around during the campaign. He talked about the deep state. The deep state, guys, does exist. By the way, it still exists, but it does exist, and it did exist.
There you have it, Eric Trump talking about the comments of the Attorney General, William Barr. Good morning, Kevin Miller in the morning. Promoting our school, securing our future here at St. Mary's Catholic School in Boise. Just off State Street. Give us a honk if you're driving by on your way into work. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We do want to thank the folks here at St. Mary's. By the way, our spring season continues. Just want to give you a couple of announcements. We are still recruiting schools for April. We're looking for one next week, actually. And then we've got a few of our old standbys, our old regulars, thanks to CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru, but we would love to profile a school that we've been to or perhaps a new school, you can email me, Kevin at KIDO Talk Radio, if you would like us to profile your school like we're doing here at St. Mary's today. That is number one. Number two, we are getting ready for Miller's Mission. That will be May 20th through the 25th. We need you now more than ever. And you say to yourself, Kevin Miller, what do you mean by that? Well, you may or may not know this, but the charitable deductions from your taxes has been taken away. And many nonprofits, like our great friends at the Boise Rescue Mission, have been impacted by that. Their charitable donations have been reduced. And unlike other groups, the Boise Rescue Mission, they don't get funding from the government, yet the need continues. So twice a year, we live at the Walmart, Garrity and Franklin, in beautiful Nampa. We'll be there May 20th through the 25th, living there. And thanks to our friends at not Bish's RV, at Camping World. Thank you, Rance, for correcting me on that one. At Camping World, that we get to live there in a pretty nice RV, but we are there raising awareness and making sure that people get an opportunity to get off drugs, to get an opportunity to live, to get an opportunity to get an education, to take care of their kids. We're just a small conduit for the Boise Rescue Mission. So if you would like to help us, Miller's Mission 2019 will be the May 20th through the 25th, and we look forward to making a difference in our great community. And finally, this is just kind of a weird one that we'll get to in a minute. But first, traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Dave. Thank you, Larry. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. And this is kind of a fun thing that has shown you how much that we as a community have developed and evolved. Many years ago, you remember, maybe you don't, maybe you do, we got involved with these media competitions. The last one that I think was legitimate is Channel 7 did Seven's Best. And basically, when you're doing Seven's Best, it's like who's the best talk show host, who's the best this, who's the best that, right? And we beat every radio and station in town. It was the Kevin Miller Show. And then the Boise Weekly and the Idaho Statesman, they've been doing one for years as well. And look, credit to those folks. It's a way for them to increase their email database and such. But I do want to thank you. I want to thank all of you that nominated us to be Boise's Best Radio Show or Boise's Best Radio Personality. And this is from, you're going to love where it's coming from, the Boise Weekly. Now, I don't know if this is a tongue-in-cheek thing. The folks there, we don't really agree with their editorial stance. We love them. They're great. But to be nominated in the Boise Weekly's Best of Boise thing, it shows you how much you have grown this program, how much waking up on the right side has made a difference, that even this publication has acknowledged your great work. And again, we didn't pay money to solicit it. I'm not going to ask you to vote because I'd like you to vote on repealing the grocery tax. We got a lot to do, but God bless you. We're rolling, all thanks to you. Fox News, more Miller next, KIDO Talk Radio.